How does this guy turn his painting side gigs into a $335,000 a month business?
We skyrocketed from that 300 something to over $1 million.
And the crazy part is, it only took one decision to get him past his first $1 million in revenue. In this episode, we discussed the forgotten advertising method that could bring you a 10x return.
Whichever source is winning or doing really well, we usually increase the spend with that source.
The 4-step SOP responsible for a perfect 5 stars and customers that never leave.
So the biggest problem is people don't feel heard. You'll make a lot more money.
Everybody who's on site is actually not an employee of Triangle Pro. And at last, the mindset every entrepreneur desperately needs.
It's totally possible to build an awesome business.
I have never seen a business with 200 reviews and a perfect 5 stars. So excited to dive in, talk about all the secrets. But before we do that, Brandon, tell us a little bit about you and the type of business you're in.
Yeah, we're a family-owned small business. Our company is Triangle Pro Painting. We're based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We specialize in interior and exterior repaints with a focus on exterior painting, interior painting, cabinet painting, and some light commercial work.
When did you get started?
The business started in 2018, but I've been in the industry much longer, so the business is about 6 years old.
Why painting out of all the businesses?
So right out of high school, like most kids, wanted a summer job, wanted to start making some money.
Yeah.
So I just looked at my local newspaper, found an ad for, as a painter assistant, and I got my first job painting. So I was a painter for a while before I started a business. And in 2017, my dad was running a little construction company and I was doing the painting for him. Mm-hmm. And then in 2018, my wife, she was like, why don't you just start your own business? The first motivation and beliefs, my wife definitely helps with that.
That's awesome.
She believed in me when I didn't really see it, but I just went for it.
What's the bare minimum that you think we need to get started in this business? For somebody watching, how much do I need to get going?
Yeah, well, painting is actually relatively cheap to get into. There's not a whole lot of expensive costs to just get started being a painter. You gotta have transportation, but if you already have transportation, all you really need is a couple brushes, some drop cloths, some basic tools. If you wanted a sprayer, you can get a paid sprayer from anywhere, for a cheaper one for 500 bucks. But yeah, you could get started technically for probably less than 1,500 bucks to have all the bare essentials to start being a painter.
Not bad. What ultimately pushed you to go all in and drop your 9-to-5 and focus on this business?
At first, I didn't believe that I could be a successful business owner and build a great team and all that. For me, I had to think, if I stuck to this 9-to-5, here's where I'm probably limited, in my next 10 to 20 years, financially and what I can provide for my children, my family, the freedom I'd have. Entrepreneurship and running a business helped me see a much bigger future. So I just had to have a shift in my thinking, the way I was seeing the future, and believe that I could operate and run a successful company.
Tell us where we're at and anything about this project you want to highlight.
So this is an exterior project our team recently just finished. Very bold color scheme on this house. And the cool thing about this house is it has a matching guest house in the back.
Well, let's go check it out up close.
Let's do it.
Take us through this project. Give us the insight into the numbers as well.
Yeah.
How many people worked here, how long it took you, everything that we need to know.
So this was a full exterior we did. We also painted the guest house in the back, the full back screen porch. But we had about 5 painters on this. And from start to finish, it took us probably about a week and a half with all the details. They did some add-ons after they signed the contract, so that was additional work. But this one came between the whole house, the guest house, back porch. This one was just right under 20K.
What's your advice to closing new leads as a newbie?
I would say the biggest thing is authenticity. Be authentic with your customer. This sounds a little bit like a paradox, but forget about the sale. Care about the customer more than the sale. Just be genuine, be authentic, see how you can provide value for people. People have, built-in human BS detectors. So if you're coming across too salesy and just trying to pressure people into trying to work with you, it probably won't go too well. So just be yourself, be authentic.
Did you come from an affluent background, wealthy family? Give us a little backstory as far as the entrepreneurial you are today. Who influenced you the most?
Yeah, I didn't come from a rich background, real blue collar, if you will.
Hard workers.
Yeah, hard workers. My mom did she was a scientist, so she did have the cool job.
That's interesting.
But my dad, he worked for builders growing up. He worked at a lumber company and then he became a sales rep for a big builder. So I saw my dad, doing sales and talking about construction from a very, very young age. And my uncle, who was like another father to me. He built a construction company from the ground up, construction, roofing, and even at a 14, 15 years old, he would have us out there just looking at how things were done. By the time I turned 17, 18, I got to work over there a little bit. So there was a lot of seeds planted growing up before I became a business owner.
All right, well, I want to take a look at how you guys did the job on the guest house, take a look at the backyard, and continue the conversation.
Let's do it.
Can you give us a quick run through of your year-over-year revenue, year one through what you expect to do in 24?
Yeah. So when I first started out, it was definitely smaller. It was about, I think I'd made right under 100K. Second year was 130 something thousand.
That's a small difference.
Yeah, year three was definitely better. That's when I first started hiring more people on my team, but still small. It was like 338,000, I'll say. The next year is when I invested in coaching, training, programs, SOPs, and we skyrocketed from that 300 something to over $1 million.
Wow.
It was like 1.1 something million.
That is nice.
The next year,
Thanks
we
to
just
coaching.
continued to grow and hire people and build out the business. We went to 2.1 something million. And then last year in 2023, we did 3 million. This year, right now, I mean, we're about halfway through the year. We've already done 2 million. So we're on track for 4 million this year. That was the plan.
What kind of margins are you shooting for as a business operator in this industry?
Well, for me, a healthy net profit would be 20% or better. But when you're first starting out, you don't have the overhead and as many variable expenses, so your net profit's going to be higher. But for gross profit, we always shoot for 50% or better on gross. That's after labor, materials, all that go out. So right now we're actually about 24% net profit.
Oh, good for you.
So if we did that on 4 million, I mean, you do the math. It's really good.
Almost $1 million.
That's very healthy money.
Gotcha. Guys, for those of you watching, tell us about your profit margins if you're in the painting industry. It'd be really cool to know what you're achieving. If it's higher than what Brandon's mentioning, how are you achieving it? Love to read below. All right, let's go check out an active project.
Yeah, so the next project, it's just an exterior trim project.
Let's shoot over there.
Okay.
I want to go back to the fact that your business has over 250, now it's like, what, 260 reviews, all perfect 5 stars.
Yeah.
Tell us about the customer service behind that and how you achieve that kind of success.
Yeah. Well, it all starts with your people, how you train them. We are big advocates on integrity. And when we say integrity, it's simply your word. If you tell a customer something's going to happen, we make sure it happens. And communication is huge to have a good business. Communication from what the sales rep is finding out the needs and wants of each customer, and then whatever that solution they come up with that customer, it's documented and it's given to the production manager and the painters so that once the team starts, everything the sales rep said is translated to the production team, so it's like a fluid process. And then we have a way, if something comes up, we have an SOP for handling that stuff.
What is that SOP? Give us a quick look into that.
Number 1 is listen, listen, listen. Number 2 is validate.
Okay.
Number 3 is provide solutions. And number 4 is follow through on those solutions.
Okay, 4 steps. We don't have the time to go into all of them right now, but why don't we do a quick 30-second dive deep into the first one, listen.
Sure.
At which point in the communication between the customer does that happen, that you focus on, which then ultimately results in a 5-star review?
Yeah. Most customers are willing to give you some grace if something happens. Usually they'll give you one shot, hopefully, as long as it's not done too major. So the first step is to listen, listen, listen to the customer. And I mean really listen as if it's happening to you or your mother's house, or to where the customer feels that you're taking it as seriously, if not more than they do. So the biggest problem is people don't feel heard. So you listen and then you write it down. So you write down what their concerns are, what the problems are, and you dig, you say, totally understand, is there anything else?
By asking questions.
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
So you don't leave that undone or unturned. That's the first step, is writing it down. And then the next step is going into validating what they just said.
All right, we'll get into that later. As the Triangle Pro team can attest to, running a business can get messy, especially when managing your finances. From sending payments to budgeting to handling taxes, it can sometimes feel like you need 6 different tools just to paint the full picture of your business. That's why there's North One, the all-in-one connected business banking platform that helps you keep your financial canvas clean and organized while saving you time and money like never before. North One's fully FDIC insured business account has no monthly fees or deposit requirements. Yes, you heard that correctly. No monthly fees or deposit requirements, and offers countless tools that make managing your books easier than ever. You can streamline payment processes instantly just by uploading bills and invoices directly to North One's payment hub and letting their AI-driven features handle the rest. It immediately extracts the details, sets up automatic payments for your approval, and saves you time. No more missed payments and no more annoying paperwork. North One even connects with major payment platforms like Amazon Pay, Stripe, Shopify, as well as many others to bring all of your sales info across multiple sites into one convenient location. And with instant cash deposits, you get funds from your sales in minutes, not days, giving you immediate access to your money and clarity on your cash flow in a whole new way. With budgeting tools and easy integration with accounting software, North One is all about saving you time and money. That's why it takes just 3 minutes to open up an account. Not only is it completely free, but it comes along with a palette of perks that any entrepreneur or small business owner could put to use, like 30% off your first 6 months of QuickBooks and a $600 YouTube ad credit. Just use the link in the description box to sign up for an account at North One today. The long-awaited question, the advertising method that brought you a 10x return. Talk to us about that.
Yeah.
And why is it so effective?
Well, we look at all of our marketing sources in a data point. Like we look at how much return it's getting, and whichever source is winning or doing really well, we usually try to increase the spend with that source because it's making sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Direct mail is one of those that's worked for us.
Interesting.
And I know it's
old school.
It's old school. So with direct mail, we got with a company that has a good, consistent campaign in the right months of the year. And we've spent probably $13K on direct mail this year, and we've made like $138,000.
Wow.
So that's how we have that. But
That's not bad.
with direct mail, sometimes it does take time because some people hold on to that mailer and then will call you a month or two later. But for us, it's just one of those sources that's worked. So we keep using it. But we look at all of our sources like that, Facebook ads or Google ads. We want to see sources typically at a 10% marketing spend or better.
Yep.
Now, sometimes that fluctuates a little, but over the span of time and as an average, that's what we like to see.
All right, Blitz time with Brandon. Guys, thanks for submitting your questions. First question, if you could change one thing about your business, what would it be?
Our name. I would probably do it something more personal to me, like my last name in painting or something like that.
All right, what is a guiding principle you have returned to in times of uncertainty?
Play the tape through. Whatever action,
what.
especially if it's something you're not sure about, pause and play that tape through versus just rash decisions.
Okay. Biggest benefit of being your own boss?
Autonomy, freedom of time,
What about the worst part of being your boss?
a lot of responsibility.
What is a painting myth you'd like to bust?
This is a fun one. That brushing and rolling a house is always going to last way longer than spraying.
Couple more. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Wow. Albert Einstein.
Okay. What would you have with him? What kind of meal?
Italian.
Italian. Okay. Last one. What's the most impactful system you've implemented in the business?
Probably our sales process, because the business runs with sales.
Yep.
So I would say having a very consistent, dialed in sales process that's teachable and repeatable at scale.
Awesome. You did great. Boom. How many jobs do you typically close on an average month?
On average, I'd say somewhere between 45 to 55 jobs per month.
How big is your sales team, and what's your involvement specifically as it is today?
Yeah, so we have 3 estimators or sales reps, and my role is pretty much right now the sales manager, if you will. So I train them, I do one-on-ones with them, have accountability, make sure other areas of their life are being, going good. And if there is ever an issue, my job is to do sales diagnosing with them. One little way we deal with that is, what is the most common objection you're hearing lately?
Right.
And based on those common objections, we can relate that usually back to a part in the process where you might not be building up enough value or not asking enough questions, etc.
What systems do you have in place to actually close these deals? When your sales rep go out there, they give them a quote.
Yeah.
What's the key?
We have a very tight sales process. Typically, it's like we have a great initial call, and then we have the sit down with the client where they have a good Q&A, discovery, basically find out the needs and wants. And then we typically do a walk around to build up the need with the client, and then definitely the close is a big deal. So part of that, how we close deals, is we present our estimates on site. So they're not wondering when they're going to get the estimate.
Get back to you tomorrow. That
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
And when we can sit down with them in person, we can find out if there's anyone else who has input, such as a spouse, make sure all their questions are answered and addressed at the time of the estimate. And so, when we try to ask for the job, if there's any objection or something they weren't sure about, we can try to address that there on the job.
So what's your top advice out of all that we've talked about so far to entrepreneurs who want to make more sales?
Well, I would say if you don't already have a system or a sales process, get one. Whether that's hiring a coach or hiring a company that has processes and systems in place, because if you don't have a repeatable sales process that works, you're going to get a lot of inconsistency on your closes and your deals.
What are your advertising avenues? What is your monthly budget? What are you spending on what?
We pay SEO for SEO, and with that, we do Google ads. I would say on average, we're spending between $10,000 and $15,000 a month. And then with Facebook ads, I'd say we're spending, anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 per month, depending on the month. And with direct mail, on the months that we're doing that, we're spending, somewhere between $900 to $1,800 a month, depending on the campaign, depending on the time of year.
Gotcha. Which is like, what would you call it? The forgotten advertising method in a way?
The forgotten advertising method, yeah. Yeah, definitely. But we also do a couple other sources. We do Yelp, a little bit with Yelp ads. It's at a low budget, and we have somebody working on Yelp organically for us. We also have a networking group that we kind of pay a part of, and we try to build referrals and relationships through that.
Other business people there? Or?
Yes, that is part of the 500 top performing real estate agents in the Triangle.
Oh, wow.
And we're one of their vendors. We pay about $350 a month for that. We go to 4 networking events a year with them. And then, of course, we have connections with different real estate agents. But I'd say the most lucrative for us is probably a toss-up between Google, the referrals, and Facebook.
All right, Brandon, so this is your office.
Yeah, this is it.
Can you give us a quick tour?
Sure.
Nice.
These are some little cubicles that we just dropped in. We didn't need a huge office because most of our people are on the go. So this is just where we kind of house team meetings,
I'm guessing right here.
This is the little conference room we have.
What's your overhead overall on a monthly basis for this office then? Let's jump into some numbers, just curious.
Sure. I think the rent here is about $1,200, and between utilities and things like that, we pay a few hundred extra bucks.
How many employees do you have? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So currently we have 3 sales reps, a main office manager, and we have 2 production managers. We run a lean team, but everybody produces at a very high level. And most of our painters are actually subcontractors. So we have very high expectations for subs, onboarding processes, a lot of accountability with that.
That's interesting. Don't spill all the beans, guys. Let's find out later what it's like to set up a business this way, where everybody who's on site is actually not an employee of Triangle Pro, but a contractor. So keep watching. What qualities do you look for when you're hiring employees specifically? Not contractors. We'll talk about that later.
One of the biggest things we look for when hiring an employee is character. I have an onboarding document when I do actually recruiting. I sit down and interview people. What I look for in that is, do I actually like this person? You're going to be spending a lot of time with employees, arguably more time sometimes than your own family. Do I feel like this person is a person of integrity? Do I feel like this person could be a future leader in our company?
So how has your leadership style evolved as the operator? I mean, you're in the business year 6.
Yeah.
Think about Brandon year 1 and year 6. What's the difference in terms of how you lead the team? Maybe certain things you've implemented that speak to your leadership to encourage morale and just for employees to keep growing.
In the beginning, I didn't have a whole lot of leadership skills. Had a whole lot of painting skills and things like that. So I was micromanaging a lot of stuff. But as I've evolved over time, I've realized that's not really helping people. So allowing people more autonomy, that way they can make some mistakes if needed, so they'll learn from it.
That's a good point, yeah.
Another thing is when we first hire an employee now versus 6 years ago, we sit down and help them create what is important in every domain of your life, your health, your family. We believe the quote-unquote work-life balance is extremely important. My philosophy is if my employees are fulfilled in health, family, these other areas, naturally they're going to do awesome
well
in work.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing that we've changed over time, and that's really helped my employees feel fulfilled.
That's amazing, Brandon. Let's get a little philosophical here.
Okay.
So philosophy with Brandon, you guys. Are you happy? Do you think money can buy happiness? Can you just share your perspective on that question?
Sure. Well, there's 2 questions. Am I happy? Definitely happy in my life.
Check. That's awesome.
Can money buy you happiness? Well, it depends on how you look at that. I believe that money is a vehicle that can take you different places in your life. But I would argue that there's other domains of your life besides just, we consider that the financial part of your life. You know, there's your health, there's your family, there's your relationships, there's travel time, which money could help with travel. Money can also help with your health, but it's certainly not going to buy you great relationships with your wife or your kids. So as an entrepreneur, I think it's extremely important to make time for the other things that are important in your life. Time with your kids, time with your family, time to take vacations, breaks from the busy hustle and bustle. So yes, money can definitely fulfill things in life and help with things, but I think just as a human being, you have to take time to honestly give attention to other important areas of your life.
Yeah. What do you say to somebody who's looking to become an entrepreneur? They have a 9-to-5, but they have this burning desire, this idea that they want to pursue and turn it into their own business. What do you think?
That's a great question. I would say find what you're passionate about, something that you naturally enjoy doing, you know? And if you naturally enjoy that so much, if you are passionate and work towards building a business around that, you will not really be working as you start to scale that thing. You know, because if you're doing something that you truly love and you're passionate about, it's not going to be like that 9-to-5.
Right.
So I would just encourage someone to continue to believe, continue to pursue that dream. There's a lot of help out there. There's coaching, there's systems, there's processes, you know. You're not alone in this, and you can definitely do it.
Yeah, take it from a man who started in the trenches. At what age?
Well, I was actually 17, and I started painting, you know, right out of high school.
Early on.
So yeah, it's coming from a guy who was just a painter, didn't really have a big background in business or finance or anything like that. It's totally possible to build an awesome business, you know, if you just believe in it.
Why hire contractors for the people actually on site as opposed to making sure they're part of your team and your employees?
We actually used to be a hybrid company where we had in-house painters and subcontractors, but the reason it works really well for us is that those guys are motivated to get each job done, get the project done, and it just works better for us. It's a more productive model if it's done professionally and at a high level like that.
Yeah, we've seen it with other interviews that we've done, I recall faintly. And are there any disadvantages to going that route?
There's pros and cons to everything. Certainly when you subcontract, you cannot tell them what to do. They're not your employee. So you just have to have a good working relationship.
Got it.
You have to make agreements where you're both on the same page. So I think that it starts with accountability. It starts with making sure that you're doing things the right way, whichever model that you're running. And for us, we've just found that subcontracting works more productively.
So what do you pay them then? That's the follow-up question.
So the way we bid our jobs, we estimate using production rates. It's time-based rates. So when we estimate a house, we kind of know what it's going to cost to produce something. And when we offer a subcontractor a job, we make them a good offer. It is a price. And if they agree to that, then they'll produce the job at that price.
Are they paying for the supplies, the paint, or you provide them with everything they need? They just show up with their equipment and get the job done?
We do have a commercial account where they can purchase paint for their jobs if it's one of our projects under our account, but they have their own equipment, their own ladders, their own vehicles, their own sprayers, all that stuff they provide themselves.
What qualities do you look for when you're looking to partner up with a contractor, and how in the world are you doing quality control with 14 teams? He's got 14 subcontractors right now that you're working with, so give us some insights on that.
Very good questions. Well, just like when we hire our employees, we look for character. When we interview them, we make sure that they're dressed professional, that they come across as somebody we would like to have in our own family's house. You know, so we're looking for things like that to make sure they're going to be a good fit. The way that we keep quality control with all those teams, number one, we have a couple production managers that manage the projects. We make sure that everybody is trained on the SOPs. We have job site checklists. We have it in English and it's converted to Spanish. Everybody could read it. There's no misunderstanding or miscommunications, but we make sure that they feel good about it and that we're on the same page, so we're delivering a great product and a great experience for our customers.
Yeah, you set the expectation, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the one providing them with the opportunity.
That's right.
If somebody wanted to start a painting company today, Brandon, what do you recommend they do first?
Number one, you need to check with your state to see if you need a license, or if there's no license required, you need to make sure that you form a business, whether that's just a sole proprietorship or an LLC. And also, I would call somebody that does insurance, make sure you get at least liability insurance. We carry full workers' comp, so that's another one you'll probably want to look into before you start taking more advanced projects, you know, whether it's residential or commercial. Those are big things to have just to protect yourself over time. My next recommendation would be, if you can afford it, I would recommend to invest in systems and coaching, because that is just going to skyrocket how you learn to run a painting business, how you learn the pitfalls to avoid, and avoid shiny objects and things like that.
When it comes to SEO, Brandon, what kind of keywords are you targeting? What are some secrets for like local businesses to do well on PPC, SEO on Google?
Sure. Well, we outsource our SEO, but I will say, like with keywords for painting, for example, you know, we really try to look for like exterior painting in that specific city or exterior house painter in that specific city. So every single service for us, cabinet painting, interior painting, exterior painting.
Those would be the keywords?
Yeah, those are going to be some of the primary keywords around that city, or near me is another one. So for us specifically, it could be, you know, interior painter or professional painting company in Raleigh, NC, or, you know, it's going to be a primary service surrounded with that city. As far as, you know, some tricks, you know, like encourage, you know, getting, you know, authoritative backlinks, just continue to do good work, get reviews, and hire a professional who has a track record for results with SEO.
Let's go back to the SOPs of customer service.
Okay.
Let's talk about in detail the second step, which I believe is validation.
Yep. After the first step, after you've truly listened and you take notes, based on those notes, you repeat them back to the customer. And you're kind of matching their frustration with your own. And when people feel heard and they feel like you're truly validating what they say, they almost like lower their guard a little bit first, and you can say powerful phrases.
You acknowledge.
You know, like, that's unacceptable, or that's definitely not what you paid for. That's not the type of workmanship we're committed to. We're gonna make this right. It seems simple, but authenticity and really validating exactly what they just said using powerful phrases, it goes a long way in that second step.
Brandon will share the last two steps later on in the video, but if you want to access the full SOP document right now and a live workshop with Brandon, click the link in the description below to download your copy. So for somebody starting out in the painting industry specifically, when it comes to supplies, materials, things you need to operate a business successfully, obviously you need to build these relationships with suppliers.
Yeah.
What are some key components, Brandon, when it comes to nurturing those relationships, establishing them?
Well, first of all, if you have a business already, you can go to your local Sherwin-Williams, your local Benjamin Moore store, and open a commercial account. If you already have an account with one of those vendors, then you can find out who your sales rep is and just ask him to come down and talk to you one day. But you could have a conversation and say, hey, we plan to grow this much by the end of the year. And with that being said, would you guys be willing to, you know, discount some of our products for us with that in mind if I continue to buy my supplies from you?
Are they all about volume, essentially?
It depends on the vendor, but yes, essentially it comes down to sales and volume with vendors and how they're going to give you discounts, at least in the painting world. And as you grow, you can just continue to tell them, hey, we're planning to grow more and more and more. That's what we've done, you know, and as time has gone on and they've seen that, they'll reach out to us now. They're, you know, this past year, Sherwin-Williams took us to the Masters, you know what I mean?
No way.
One of my production managers, our other suppliers at Spectrum Paint and Benjamin Moore, they buy us, you know, season tickets to the Carolina Hurricane game. So these are things that we built over time, but it's really just about staying true to each vendor. Like, hey, if you guys work with me, I'm going to continue to buy from you, and that'll just help continue to nurture that relationship and continue to help you get good prices on supplies.
What's one decision you would say that helped you crest over the first $1 million in revenue?
Yeah, for me, it was making a decision to hire a business coach and invest in programs and systems, SOPs, that really helps skyrocket and expedite what I would have done the hard way, trying to, you know, figure it out on my own. But that was the best decision I ever made, was to invest in coaching and systems.
That investment is well worth it. That kind of ties us into the fact that you had an opportunity to check out the Upflip Academy in its infant stages. What's your perspective? What's your take on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I think it's going to be an awesome platform where people can kind of go there and shortcut some of the solutions and problems that they're trying to solve in businesses, and particularly that whatever their specific niche or trade is. I think the Upflip Academy will have a lot of solutions and programs to help people grow faster and smarter.
Amen. Would you like to access world-class programs, blueprints, and mentorship from active business owners actually doing the work they teach? I highly recommend you check out the Upflip Academy. I'll tell you what, the first 10 days are on us. If you could go back and execute on certain things sooner, what would it be if you had a chance?
Well, for me, I think it would be investing in coaching and courses, systems sooner.
Doesn't surprise me, yeah.
You know, I wasted a lot of time just trying to do things the hard way, and so if I would have done it a little sooner, it would probably have started things in an upward trajectory faster. Yeah.
Good call. All right, let's finish up with the last two steps of the SOP for customer service that gives you the 5-star ratings.
Okay.
Give us a deep dive.
Sure. So the third step is provide solutions. Actually, I recommend to go above and beyond on your solutions. There's nothing wrong with making a customer too happy, and it's best to go above and beyond in your solutions than fall short of their expectations. This will always lead to more work, and that's just more work for your team, more stress for you.
More business.
So at this point, when you've got the solution, I would get an agreement with them to make sure that that's good with them, and then I'd probably go a little bit above and beyond on that. The last part is follow through. So exactly what you said, you've got it written down, you have a plan of action with your team, and you follow through on exactly what you said you were gonna do, and that's Integrity 101.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this episode, if you're enjoying all the insights that Brandon is sharing with all of us, do us a quick favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us grow and continue to bring you this amazing inside information. What's the most challenging project that you've done, or maybe something that caused you to kind of go out of the norm? How did you pivot? What was it? Can you give us an experience?
Yeah, one of the most challenging ones where we did a new construction project. It was a new construction automotive center, commercial, and of course with that it's a little different because you've got trades coming in behind you. It's just a whole different process. So what we did in that project was we did an automotive center. It was done in epoxy and these higher end coatings. And after we were finished, they had electricians coming back in and other people. And next thing you know, the project manager's calling us, say, hey, we got all these touch-ups for you. So all we really did was have a conversation with them. And we sent our project manager out there to take a look at it. And we just kept integrity. We were like, look, absolutely. In the contract, it did say we would handle a couple touch-ups. But we also kind of let the guy know, hey, we're going to do a couple touch-ups, but this just can't be endless here.
Right.
So we did the right thing. We went over there and took care of it, but that was something outside of our normal comfort zone. And we ended up doing a great job there. They were very happy with it. But what we learned from that is just stay in your lane for the most part. There's plenty of work out there if you focus on what you're good at and try not to chase shiny objects too much. Because if you don't do enough research on that, if you don't make sure that the right payment terms, the right agreements are in place, and you kind of know that you've estimated it correctly. You know, all those things will definitely help you not run into big problems and become unprofitable or, you know, things like that.
Yeah, no, great advice. What's it like transitioning from being an employee to finally, you know, being an entrepreneur?
I was making a little more money in the beginning, but everything was on my shoulders, right? In a 9-to-5, I just kind of did my job, and if something goes wrong, usually it falls on the manager or the owner or somebody else. In entrepreneurship and being a business owner, until you build a team, all problems are yours to deal with. But on the flip side of that, if you build a business the right way, there's a lot more reward. Eventually, you'll make a lot more money, you'll buy back your time, have a lot more freedom of your time, and be able to pursue other things you enjoy in your life. But like most things in life, great reward comes some risk.
Yes. How do you secure commercial contracts?
Try to see if you can get with the people that make some decisions there and see what their needs are. You know, how often they usually paint, were they happy with their last experience, and just try to do a value forward. Like, here's what we could provide for you guys. You know, we have quick turnaround, we give warranties with our work, you know, whatever you can do to try to add value in that instead of just asking for work.
Gotcha. Is there a reason you guys don't do more commercial, or that's just hasn't been the business model to start with?
So my mentality was, let's just be the absolute best we can be in residential, scale that out. We'll take light commercial jobs as they come and when they're the right opportunity. And when the time is right, we'll actually pursue more bigger commercial jobs.
How do you keep your staff, team motivated and productive?
Well, as far as our team, we definitely incentivize certain things, like when they get 5-star reviews. You know, give our team bonuses for when they get reviews. Sales reps are incentivized on commissions, so they get a salary plus a commission. So once they sell a certain deliverable, every dollar past that, they get a commission. With our crews and our painting team, like our production managers will take them out to lunch or bring them drinks and just keep them excited for the next job they have coming. You know, like ensuring them and just giving them that confidence that we've got your back definitely helps them stay motivated.
What about like team effort, building activities? Do you do anything like that? Just to be friends and hang out after work?
100%, man. So we'll go out to, our team will go to the Carolina Hurricanes hockey games. So that's a thing we do with our employees. We do that multiple times a year. That just builds good culture and being good human beings to people. You know?
Little things go a long, long way. Right?
Absolutely.
What's the mindset shift that every entrepreneur needs? What do you think?
Well, for me, I think if people discovered what they're truly capable of, I think they'd simply astonish themselves. I think if you just keep believing in that dream, you keep visualizing it. You know, if you believe it, you can definitely make it happen. So that's, I think, the mindset that entrepreneurs should have is like, let me see what else is possible. Let me see what else I'm capable of. You know, I believe I can achieve more. And just keep visualizing it. Whatever that is, write it down, just believe in it.
What's one perception of wealth for you personally that turned out not to be true?
Yeah.
Can you think of anything?
I think for me, I always thought that if I got wealthy or had a lot of money, I might change. You know, there's this whole sense of like
money.
People that got money, it changes them and they become entitled and all that stuff. And for me, that's just not the case. I've been able to be more generous. I think it's just really helped me grow in all areas of life.
That's awesome that you've been able to stay true to yourself,
Yes.
whether you have $1 in your account or 10 million.
Yes.
Right? So,
And I hope that always stays that way.
let's hope so. What's one piece of advice that you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Just believe in yourself. You know, anything is possible if you put your mind to it. I know it sounds cliche, but
That's
literally, a lot of this is just a mindset shift. And there's a lot of help out there. You know, don't be afraid to ask help. Don't be afraid to take risks because, you know, anything's possible.
Like this episode? Then you will absolutely love episode 189 with a founder who's working only 3 days a week, raking in $1.5 million a year, building fences and decks. Seriously, check it out. Take a second to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.